Hello, my name is Mouse, and welcome to our first ever tournament breakdown for the Third Set of Eyes YouTube channel. About a week ago, I ran my first Kill Team tournament at Waterloo Games outside of Richmond, Virginia. It was a great event with several high-profile players in attendance. We had 18 players, 4 of which were top 50 players in North America, and 4 rounds that were each 2 hours in length. The maps consisted of a mixture of Vulcus, Into the Dark, and Octarius to spice up the variety. I personally love Octarius as a terrain set, and I especially like it compared to the ultra safety of the Vulcus maps that we've been playing on for about 10 months. I'll have the actual recordings of some of the games up on the channel in the near future, but for now, let's go ahead and take a look at some statistics from the event. You know I'm a stats guy, so let's play with the data together. The first thing to note is the diversity of the tournament, which has almost nothing to do with players or their skill level. The most common team in the event was a shared title between the Tempestus Aquilons and the Nemesis Claw, with 3 players apiece, followed by 2 players on Scouts and 2 players on Goremongers. The remaining teams, which were the Raveners, Chaos Cult, Brood Brothers, Battleclade, Rattlings, Blooded, Farstalker Kinband, and Exaction Squad, each had 1 player representing them. In the end, this gave us 12 different teams across 18 players, which is a pretty healthy mixture of teams. Let's have some disclaimers as we get into the proper statistics discussion. This event had a total of 36 games, which is a small sample size. Add to that differences in player skill, and you can get a distorted takeaway from the event with respect to a particular team's perceived power level. Also, I'm not adjusting these statistics to take into account the fact that the tournament was seeded to pair the highest scoring opponents against each other round after round. I could do that, but there isn't enough data here to justify something that intense. This video is not meant to encourage or discourage someone from playing a particular team or to cast judgment on any of the players who represented a faction at this event. I simply love statistics, and I want to see what we can learn from this event since I have all of the data related to it. Okay, onwards. Our first statistic of the event is the weighted performance metric, which looks at the likelihood that a team wins or loses. To calculate this, I assigned 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, and 0 points for a loss. I was then able to calculate each faction's points versus their number of games played, which gives me a metric roughly designed to tell me how likely a particular faction was to win or lose a game if we selected them at random in the event. The higher the number, the more likely that that faction would win their game. Looking at this graphic, we have several teams that went 3-1 for the event, which gives them a score of 2.25 using this formula. The Raveners, Chaos Cult, and Brood Brothers all had strong showings, but admittedly only have 4 games each, and are likely skewed a bit by having skilled pilots. Following those records are the Goremongers, Battleclade, Nemesis Claw, and Rattlings. Each of those other teams was either a 50% win-loss ratio or better, and the remaining teams averaged more losses than wins. Those remaining teams were Scouts, Tempestus Aquilons, Blooded, Exaction Squad, and the Farstalker Kinband. Our next statistic to examine is the average points scored per game, which I like as a category. This statistic tells us how well a particular team is playing the game overall, which is a rough proxy for how competitively viable a team might be. Here, we see that the Raveners were consistently the highest scoring team, averaging 17.25 points per game. Behind the Raveners, we have the Goremongers at 16.5 points per game, the Battleclade at 15.75 points per game, and the Chaos Cult at 14.75 points per game. Scores in this general range are likely to be winning totals, so teams that are able to average scores of 14 points or better are much more likely to be winning their games and advancing throughout the tournament. This metric also varies widely with the mission type, so the missions that we ran at the event were Secure, Coordinates, Loot, and Sabotage. The final statistic that I want to discuss is the average point disparity per game, which looks at the difference between the faction and their opponents throughout the tournament. This is an important metric because it expands further on the previous category by looking at the margin of victory. The highest disparity at this event was from the Goremongers, who on average won their games by just over 4 points. The Battleclade won their games by an average of 3.5 points, and the Raveners by an average of nearly 2.5 points. Several teams, like the Brood Brothers, Chaos Cult, Farstalker Kinband, and Nemesis Claw, outscored their opponents on average, but the margin was 2 points or fewer. The Ratlings, with their 2-2 record, also managed to score exactly the same number of points as their opponents, which suggests that they might be a perfectly balanced team. The Blooded, Tempestus Aquilons, Scouts, and Exaction Squad all scored fewer points on average than their opponents. But again, this may be due to a small sample size, combined with the fact that these factions all had losing records in the event. Based on the metrics shown at my local tournament, it seems like the Raveners are poised to perform very well in the current meta. But of course, more data is needed to see how this will shape up. Teams like the Goremongers, Battleclade, Chaos Cult, Brood Brothers, and Nemesis Claw all have plenty of teeth of their own and can threaten to podium events. A big personal shout out to all of the players that came to my event at Waterloo Games in Richmond, Virginia. Without them, I wouldn't be able to make videos like this, and I wouldn't have an awesome kill team scene to play in. If you live near-ish to Richmond and want to take the trip out for the next tournament that I run, I'll send those details out as we get closer in the fall. Make sure that you're a subscriber to the channel so you don't miss that update. Also, if you've made it this far into the video, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe so that we can continue to make informational videos like this one. Our community voted on the next guide video that they wanted to see, so the Raveners guide will be dropping shortly as well. Stay tuned and don't miss it. Until next time, have fun and be good if you want to.